Well, thank you very much. I'm just getting over a little cold, so speaking about healing while I'm recuperating, don't want to seem like a hypocrite. But the subject I was told is healing through gratitude. That's correct? I don't prepare any notes or any thoughts before I give speeches or lectures or talks or individual counseling, because I don't feel that I can possibly prepare for any moment in time. Every moment is unique. So when I think about healing, the first thing that comes to mind is trying to define my terms. Gratitude, what is gratitude? What is healing? So I am, let's say, in Manhattan, and I'm about to enter a taxi, and at that moment, somebody grabs my, let's say I'm a woman, I have a purse, and runs. The taxi driver sees this, says, "Get in, I'll take you home." He, on the way, calls the police, informs them of the location and the event, takes me to my home, where I call my credit card companies and everything else that makes a mess of the situation. And I feel enormous gratitude to the taxi driver, whoever he or she may be, for that generous gift of that opportunity to make whatever would have otherwise been me stranded on some street into a moment where I can remember it for the rest of my life and treasure it. Let's have another example of gratitude. I can't pay my rent, and I call my mom or my dad. "I need $500 Mom, $500 Dad. Can you help me pay my rent this month?" "Sure." "Okay. Can you make sure blah, blah, blah." "Thank you." Okay. Now, juxtapose those two senses of thanks or gratitude. Then let's get another one. I am an atheist. I don't believe. I'm a nihilist. I'm a materialist. I think a place like this is all hubbubaloo. I win the lottery, and I have nothing to thank, really. I can't really thank God. I don't believe in anything. I can't thank my wife. I can't thank my kids. I can't thank the balls. I don't know how do they do the lottery? Balls? Ping pong balls. I mean, but yet I feel grateful. Now, I think that is an important point. So we can distinguish between all these senses of gratitude. And we can also distinguish between the sense of the healing or the catharsis or the feeling we have about ourselves, about our sense of self, about others, and how our sense of identity expands to include others, depending upon the circumstances in which this feeling of gratitude emerges. So even if you're an atheist, or you don't, in other words, the belief system, the ideology beneath it, has no bearing on this wellspring we have from wherever it comes from. And apparently, it's not simply proportional to the value, for example, the $500 from my mom to pay the rent versus $50 million from winning the lottery versus the taxi driver who gave me nothing but a ride home. We think often the gratitude is proportional quantitatively to what we received. But in fact, gratitude is actually a function of our own sense of who we are and how naturally we are able to express it and experience it. And here's where we get to what is gratitude. Let's give an example where something is given to you or something you feel I can feel thankful for, not to necessarily a person or to a supreme being or to yourself even, for removing a bad habit and really making the effort to do so. But that sense of gratitude doesn't flow. Okay, you missed that opportunity, let's say. Versus the opportunity where you take it and you feel it and you embody it. Now, what is happening physiologically between the two different individuals we just described? You need to read my book. So I'm not going to get too heady here, but on a physiological sense, in the body, what we have is nervous energy. We have energy. We have awareness. Our awareness flows where the energy flows. So if I just hold my fists really tight, my energy is going there. And even though I'm trying to speak to you and have a conversation or have a discussion, my attention keeps going to it. If we constantly, in our minds, have this runaround, this is a lot of energy going on, a lot of inefficiency. Gratitude has this capacity to conserve our energy. The moment we feel gratitude, it's a sense of calm. And the sense of calm brings us within, and that expands our identity. In other words, gratitude is actually a form of asceticism. If you stop to eat for a day and fast, and you've conserved all the nervous energy used in digestion, and we all know that the more you eat, your lifespan is decreased. They did the studies on the rats 50 years ago. They gave half the food to these rats and all the food they wanted, and they live twice as long. So the eating is about health. Fasting has always been for every species about health. Why? Because it's energy conserving. Silence. All these muscles moving when I speak. All the thoughts. That's a lot of energy. There's actually more energy going on when I'm speaking with finer muscles than just clenching a fist. So silence has been used for centuries as conserving energy. Calmness, energy conserving. What happens with all that freed, conserved energy? It goes within. Solitude. Why do we go on to retreats? Why do we go into silent places? It conserves energy. We're not always being pulled out. Gratitude is energy conserving. And when we conserve energy, whether it's through that form or through other ascetic practices, and I define asceticism as not as hair shirts or self-flagellation or sitting on top of a pillar. There was one in the Dark Ages, asceticism just went downhill. Anyway, no, I define it as energy conservation. So gratitude is a form of energy conservation. Because when we feel it and we give that opportunity to feel gratitude, we're conserving energy. And what happens with all that freed energy? It's healing us. So let's go back to defining our terms. I think I've defined gratitude. So in my ontological system, I'm a philosopher. I'm an ontological philosopher. That means, well, just imagine a tree with lots of branches. Every branch is a branch of philosophy. Ontology is not a branch. It's the trunk. Ontology deals with what is real. And there's literally been about 5 ontologists in the last 5,000 years. It's a very difficult philosophy to penetrate because what is real is really, really hard to figure out. So in my ontological model, what I've just done is define gratitude within that system of thought. And I'm defining it as a means to conserve our energy. When we do that, the energy naturally goes within. We can look within more easily. This creates a magnetism in the spine and brain. All the stress, all the traumas, all the patterns of energy and awareness from empirical data, memories, thoughts, interpretations of the sense of self, this mythic ideas of ourselves, all of it pulls into this magnet. We can look within like instantly because we've developed this through energy conservation, through things like gratitude, through calmness, through love. Love is energy conserving. It's efficient in society to love one another. I know it sounds very unloving to say that in a way, to break it down in such a scientific sense, but we intuitively feel that we want harmony and love and calmness and peace, because this brings energy efficiency. And we can then use that energy toward learning, toward expanding our knowledge, towards teaching our children instead of building weapons of war. You know, what did Asimov said? All civilization is based upon the control of energy, how much energy we have. And in fact, I've done studies where I've shown that the moral system of a society is dependent upon the degree of surplus energy it can muster. So in your own microcosm of your life, the amount of surplus energy you can gather through the conservation of energy, which is done through things like gratitude and coming here and having community and having the peace of mind, will expand your sense of self, and your sense of ethics or right and wrong will be informed by that very conservation. You will in fact be this is a hard word for me to use as a philosopher, better person, a larger person through gratitude. Is this making any sense? Okay. Now, what's healing? I can tell you, as a yogi, how much time do I have?
About 15 more minutes.
15. Okay, so I spent about half on gratitude, now half on healing. We'll put them together at the end. Healing. I must say, as a yogi, you can't find somebody more disinterested in the body. I am the laziest bum when it comes to taking care of my body. I have an inversion table. I can't get on it for the life of me. The one thing I'm really good at is not eating. And probably because I'm so god darn lazy that I don't fix any food for myself. But that does mean I age the body less. Exercise, I haven't done asanas, postures in yoga. I've been teaching pranayama, yoga, real ascetic, mystical yoga for decades, but I don't think I've entered a posture other than for 20 years. When I was a monk in the Swami order, where we were all yogis practicing pranayama for hours a day, I had an accident. I was a gardener, and we went horseback riding, and my back literally just I felt like it fell off. And ever since then, more sedentary, less motion. So I was a classical guitarist. Oh, I'll move my fingers all day, but walk around, oh, forget about it. You know, or typing books, oh, wonderful, easy. But then you're sitting on your butt all day, and you're like, oh, my hip. So me talking about healing is like literally, I feel like a fool. But I actually do know a little about it. When we think about healing, I know about one form of healing, which is actually ontologically, I think, the most important. But you can be the judge of that. When we think of healing, we think, first of all, physical healing. We think about being healthy. Of course, the body does deteriorate. The cells do not replicate efficiency. There is a form of yoga called Kayakalpa, so that to reverse that, and I can teach any of you these techniques to reverse aging, but you'd have to, it's a very difficult practice. It would be like Uddiyana, holding that for a long period of time, reversing the gravity, drinking gold, the tongue up, pulling the tongue up. This stops the medulla oblongata. All of these esoteric practices to stop aging. Anyway, so we think of aging in terms of the physical. Healing, excuse me. And there's aging in terms of the physical. But we know that no matter how much healing we have and how healthy we have, there is going to be aging, and the body is born and dies, and reborn and dies and reborn. This is just the process of life, and life feeds on life, and that's it. And there's death going on in our bodies all the time. Otherwise, there'd be no life. There has to always be a balance, sort of a polarity, yin and yang. Then there's also mental healing. So we think about the mental health specialists, Then, of course, the pharmaceuticals got in the whole picture, and now they've got a mental disease for looking funny. I mean, it's, the drug culture on how to address mental. So there are more progressive, like breathing exercises, hyperventilation, even using, things like MDMA or LSD. They're trying to experiment, trying to break apart this Freudian idea who's being debunked. But there's this mental idea of mental health, the mental sanity, calmness, right? Not bipolar, not OCD, all these things that are bringing into our world. But in my understanding of healing, I look at the actual physiology of the body. Now, if you look at the body and the spine, there's 7 plexuses. So this is a plexus, the cerebrum. Okay, so we're dealing with mental health here, right? And of course, there's the physical body. But how about this plexus? What if I'm weak in my willpower? Now, this might translate into some mental deficiency or some personality sense. But I think that having a strong willpower is necessary for health. Okay? Having strong self-control, which is more at the base of the spine, is important for health. Having a strong heart, which means fearlessness, courage, love, expansion of the sense of self, that's important for healing. So in other words, healing is actually on the if you're think of the spine and the brain as this radio, right? We want every channel to work. We don't want just one channel, and that's all we listen to, 98.5. A good, healthy, good radio isn't stuck at one channel. And so for us to be healthy, we have to have a balance in the flows of energy in the spine and the brain. So I'll show you an example right now of this right now. You can do it yourself. Put your head, when I was at Columbia, there was a professor, and I noted every time he started to think about something, he'd do this. Everybody, put your hands here. Now, think of the radio analogy. Think of the hands as antenna. When you put your hands at your head, don't you feel like thinking about something? Just feels like thinking about something, right? Just like, I need to think about something. Obviously, my hand is here. I'm thinking about something. Okay, put your hands down. Put your hands here, at your heart. Antenna. Do you feel the same as if the way you put it at your head? No. You're expanding the antenna of this plexus. You feel something in the heart, don't you? And if you don't, that's not a healthy mechanism. That's not a healthy channel. You need to do this more to change the channel. Okay? Put it here. Or like this. Don't you feel the drive there? The sense of will? Yes or no? Does it feel different than here and from here? That's what we are. We are multifaceted. And see this nice ruby? It wouldn't be a nice ruby if one of the facets was sort of broken or something. It has to be nicely, we have to be nicely, like a flower. You can't take half the petals off and think, oh, it's still a beautiful. We want to be full. We want to be complete. We want to be whole in our health. So, back to gratitude. Energy conserving, calmness, energy conserving, love, those hugs, energy conserving. Bringing it in, decentralizing. So we're not distancing our power always to the big church. It's here, it's us. It's centralized in us, and then further in our spines. And then the spine is healthy, all levels. And that then exudes physical health. Now, if it doesn't, here's the wonderful part about it. It doesn't matter. If the heart and the self are healthy, the body and its health are not conditions of your happiness. So, in a matter of speaking, what we really want is the health of knowledge, the health of the knowledge of the larger self, because that health is unconditional. Once we have the health of the knowledge of an expansive self, no amount of poor health of the body, poor health in our finances, poor health in the world, nothing can shake the health of the expansive self. And we all want unconditioned health. So, when I touch a student of mine to heal them, I don't do all the laying on hands or to put the oil, and that's for all physical healing and all the other energy methods. All I do is touch the spine. I magnetize my hand through pranayama. I touch the spine, I magnetize the spine so that I can bring in the health of a larger self. Any questions? Really? You got it all. I was that clear.
A lot to think about.
Yeah, well, the book is there, and like I said, it belongs to the center, and if they run out, I will give another box for the center, and the money goes to the center. The second edition comes out in January, published by Ben Bella. I will, if I am back, I will sign copies if you like. But really, gratitude, healing, the combination of the two. What is ontological healing, meaning the real of the real healing. Any questions about what I've been discussing? Don't be afraid. Yes?
How can we heal ourselves using the spine?
Well, first of all, a healthy spine has to be a good posture. So, if I'm sitting here and I want to be able to have a balance in all of those plexuses, all those channels, first of all, the natural pose is like this, sort of the meditative pose. And usually not with the back against anything. So it's straight up like this. Chin parallel to the floor, eyes just looking up slightly. You can pull the tongue back, where the tip of the tongue touches the soft of the palate. You stop right there. The eyes are slightly up. Hands relaxed. Now, when you say about health of the spine, let's say there's scoliosis or let's say there's whatever contraindication. I'm not a doctor. My specialty is in the health of the spine in terms of the development of awareness. If I could get on my own inversion table or urge inversion for those who don't have any contraindications, I highly recommend it. Because whenever I get on it, oh my God, the health of the spine. The spine is actually breathing. And in fact, Galen pointed this out like 2,000 years ago, how much healing happens just if you invert the body. We're always this way. And there's a whole, the planet is a big magnet too, right? North, South Pole. So we're always affected by polarity in a certain direction, plus gravity. We reverse that with an inversion table, which I prefer far more than headstands, because the headstand is still putting pressure on the head and the neck, and that's a lot of contraindications there, you know, especially after a certain age. I did it when I was a kid. I wouldn't do it today. But invert, just holds you by your ankles, very healthy for the spine. Sitting and doing regulated breathing. When you regulate your breathing, so abdominal, then chest, then shoulders up a bit, then you hold it, and then you exhale slowly, and you even the inhalation and the exhalation. Normally, if you're sleeping, you normally walk. Your exhalation is twice as long as the inhalation. This keeps this awareness sense-bound. If you want to instantly feel calm, instantly feel gratitude, instantly feel peace, all you need to do is equalize by chronological duration the inhalation and the exhalation. So breathe in for 6 seconds through the nostrils, slowly. Breathe in for 12 if you can, 15, 20, as long as you, I got so good I could do 25 seconds, one inhalation, 25 seconds, one exhalation. And I would do that for 10, 12, 15 hours a day as a yogi to master the mind. But that you do if you want to achieve breathlessness, so you can stop the breathing, go within. But for just the general health of the spine, all you need to do is slow, deep breathing where the inhalation and exhalation are the same duration, and your spine will breathe in a way that it does not breathe normally. Now this is all science. We've already discovered how the fluids of the spine require this sort of breathing. And so when we equalize inhalation and exhalation, we have a healthier spine. If you did that, plus all those other, like let me show you another one. I was about to say double exhalation, but I forgot I never. Laugh for me. Thank you. Well, listen to me laugh. Ha 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 ha. We all laugh that way. Why? We are breaking up the exhalation. Ha, 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 ha. That removes more carbon from the venous blood. The reason laughter is so therapeutic is because when you break the exhalation, and yogis figured this out thousands of years ago, they just called it the multiple exhalation. So they just codified it. And you can do multiple inhalation. Do that for 5 minutes. I promise you, you're going to feel very good about yourself. It's like you're literally scientifically laughing and clearing out the blood, and you will feel like you don't even need to breathe. So, if you do a multiple exhalation, chin lock, then do a fake inhalation, like you try to breathe in, but no air comes in. The abdomen is pulled up. What happens there is that I'm reversing all this pressure that gravity puts on my body all day long. So this is good for the spine. And in the matter of the development of self-awareness, whatever is good for the spine is good. In fact, this may be the hardest concept I bring in the book. Gratitude, don't get mad at me. Gratitude, calmness, love, selfless service, all these things are not good in and of themselves. They are injunctions that mimic good because they all bring energy to the spine. They all work to expand the sense of self. And the sense of self that's expanded as a result is the yardstick for all good. So in other words, we are all mimicking the good through being calm. And if you think about it throughout history, we really have no other yardstick or measure of an absolute good other than the way somebody, in a moment when they could be reactive, they stay calm. When they could be energy out, they keep it in. Always throughout history, we see self-sacrifice, gratitude, calmness, love as this process of going within. And we measure that intuitively as good, when in fact what it is the mimicry of the larger self, which is the source of all good. So, when without a virtue, what did Shakespeare say? If you have no virtue, imitate it. If you have it not, act like it. If you don't, what's the exact quote? Oh my God, I've been quoting it all my life. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you're making me nervous. Assume a virtue if you have it not. Assume the good, and that energy will flow because the mind doesn't know the difference. I think my time's up. Thank you. Thank you.